निशान साथ है इतने के कुछ शुमार नहीं हमारे दीन का क़िस्सों पे मदार नहीं।
Some people feel as if they can only experience God if they're at a certain level of maturity or age. However, I disagree. When I was 16, it was right after school that we had a Jamaat meeting. And it was at this Jamaat meeting that they talked about spending in the way of Allah and why it's important and how a person gains blessings from doing so. And I remember being at this meeting and listening to the speakers go on and on about these beautiful stories about how people's lives changed just because they spent in the way of Allah and gave everything that they had for Him. And while listening to this, I thought to myself that, I want to experience this too. I want to witness God's light just like they did. And it was at this very moment that in my heart I said to myself that, Kanata, you're going to donate $1,000 to the mosque fund. This is your promise to God. And right after the meeting, I went home and I talked to my mom and I told her how I felt and what I heard and what I wanted to do. And she was so happy when she heard this. But at the same time, she brought me back to reality and she said that, Kanata, we don't have this kind of money. Where are you going to get $1,000 from? And she was right. But at the same time, I made this intention and I made this promise to God and I wanted to fulfill it no matter what. And so I began to think to myself that how can I do this? How can I fulfill this promise? And I remembered that I had just recently started collecting money in a piggy bank that I made myself for a project. And when I remembered this, I ran to my room and I grabbed my piggy bank and I broke it open and I spilt the money on the floor and I began to count. Now at that time, I estimated that I probably have around $500. And when I started counting, that's where I was. And I was like, you know what? This is great. I have $500. I'm halfway to my promise that I made to God. And then I realized that there's still a bill that I haven't counted. And so when I grabbed it, it wasn't a bill. It wasn't a single bill. It was a bundle of money wrapped together. And seeing this, I was shocked because the way my piggy bank was made, it's made in a way that the hole in which I put money in was so thin and narrow that I couldn't ever put more than one bill at a time. And so it didn't make any sense to me. It was physically impossible for a bundle that size to end up in my piggy bank like that. The only way it would be possible was if somebody broke it open and put it inside. But again, that didn't happen. And so I began to count the money, to count the bundle. And I'm counting and the money is increasing. And all of a sudden, I realized that I've counted all the money and I end up with exactly $1,000 in my hand. $1,000 that I was ready to donate to God. And when this happened, I was completely speechless. I couldn't comprehend what was happening. I didn't understand what was going on. But in that moment, I knew it was Him. He did this, and I just witnessed God with my very own eyes. And I can't describe to you the amount of joy and happiness that I felt in my heart at that time. He listened to my heart, and He fulfilled my desire right before my very eyes, instantly. And for that, I'm forever grateful. And it was this incident that changed my outlook on life forever. I realized that there's so much more to life than what we do, and that He's out there and He's listening and He's watching. And if you get close to Him, your life will change in a way that you would never ever be able to think of. And it was this same incident that made me realize how much I needed God and how much I wanted Him and I wanted to get close to Him. And everyone has something or somebody special to them that they hold very dear to their heart. And for me, that's my God. My God is my loveliest treasure.